Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks! What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote. This is a weekly show where we introduce some of the best indie creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by taking your questions. I am your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is apparently, I didn't know this about this individual until we started talking about it earlier on in the green room area of our studios, but President and CEO of Star Wars Fan Enterprises, maybe? But he's also a great indie writer and a musician on top of that, because as we all know, music is the language of the soul. Please welcome, joining us all the way from the great state of New Jersey, Lou Tambone is in the building. Hello, Lou. How are you?
Oh, Ryan, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're very happy to have you here. We're happy to have you here who may be watching or listening to this right now. So do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you're joining us live or on the replay, thank you for doing so. If you have any questions for the guest of honor, let us know in those comments. Let us know in the chat. We're more than happy to take those as they come in respectively with that piece of business taken care of and out of the way. Lou, what were some of your favorite books or writers growing up when you were a youngling?
Oh, gosh. I gotta tell you, I enjoyed the fun books when I was really little. There were things like Sesame Street books and Grover, where they put your name in it. I forgot what that one was called. Those kind of books. I liked, when I was young, Star Wars came out. That was probably the first book that I read cover to cover. I was little. I didn't even know what some of the words meant. I just kind of read it through because I loved Star Wars. So I liked stuff like that. My dad got me a book called A Wrinkle in Time, which I think most people know. I don't remember much about reading it, but I liked having the books. I thought this was great. I read a couple of comic books here and there. I wasn't really an active reader when I was young. I was more of a visual person. I liked movies and TV and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say I developed a bug for reading until later in life.
Fair enough. What would you, and you kind of segued into our next question there. What were some of your favorite movies or TV series growing up?
Well, yeah, it's like I think of my life almost like, pre-Star Wars, post-Star Wars. It's kind of like pre-Star Wars, there was only so much, right? And then when Star Wars hit for me, that was just really huge. So that became my favorite thing in the world. But before that, you could see things on TV. And I might get the years mixed up. Stuff like The $6 Million Man or Wonder Woman, things like that. I used to love watching like shows like that when I was a kid, whatever was on, at the time, because you don't really have control. The Incredible Hulk TV show, if you remember that, I'm sure things like that used to really make me excited. I used to like watching those kinds of shows.
Yeah, Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. Who'd have thunk they were two different people? I thought they were all the same person when he hulked out and he got really angry. Even though Bill Bixby clearly told us in the pilot episode / made for pilot movie, if you remember correctly, make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And he was so good at putting that little spiel together when he was talking to that nosy reporter who kept sticking his nose where it didn't belong.
Mr. McGee, I think his name.
Right. That's right. Yeah. It's funny because I actually just started. I watched the first season of The Incredible Hulk, the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno TV series on DVD when I was living in North Carolina at the time, and there was this used bookstore. It's still there. It's called McKay's in Greensboro, North Carolina. If anyone's familiar with that area, please let us know in the chat. So I got the first season because I thought, some people have told me about this series over the years, and I want to give it a shot. I want to see if this is any good. Maybe it holds up, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Because it was made in the late 70s, early 80s. So, some properties may or may not hold up depending on how you look at it. So I watched it. I got to tell you, for a TV series, it's really good. It's a good character piece. It's deep stuff. He may be walking from place to place, or he may be getting, driving a car or a truck, whatever it was, place to place, but he would always, it's kind of like the fish out of water. He's just trying to live his own life, but he's a fish out of water, so he gets himself into these situations he doesn't mean to. Right. He has to intervene when a cause makes him do it, and it's and then he can't be with the woman that he loves. Like it tears you up inside, man.
Yeah. when that in the credits when he's like looking, or there was the end of the first
Mhm.
episode. I don't remember what it was. Like, he's like looking at his own grave. And he
Yeah.
walks with the backpack. It's like, oh man, like it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, but yeah, it's a great show. If no one has seen it before, check it out. If you want to learn some early iterations of Marvel when it comes to TV series or movies, because long before Edward Norton's The Incredible Hulk came out in 2008, with the MCU going on at the time, we got the Incredible Hulk TV series, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. So
Yeah,
check it out. It's good stuff. And I think it holds up. I think it holds up.
it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would encourage anyone who's watching or listening to this to and by the way, the Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel characters. So
Mm.
I like it a lot. So I'll give it that, right?
Yeah.
But good thing. So you mentioned something called, what is it, The War in the Star something or other. Oh yeah, Star Wars. So Star Wars, did you see the originals back in the heyday? What was it like? How, because I mean, a lot of people have shared this question or story over the years, but when you first saw Star Wars, was that like your first like true fandom? Is that how it all started for you?
Yeah.
Being a bit of a nerdy, geeky connoisseur. What was Star Wars experience like for you back in the day?
Yeah. I mean, I was 7 years old, so that was my first huge thing. Before that, it was just sit in front of the radio, listen to music, turn the dial back and forth, listen to 8 tracks, stuff like that. But that was something that it was so huge, everybody wanted to see it, because when it came out, it was unexpected. It was like this giant hit, and there were lines around the blocks and all kinds of stuff like that. So I would have somebody take me. I don't know who I saw it with first. It could have been my mom, could have been my dad, could have been my grandfather. I don't know who it was, but somebody took me, and it was the most exciting thing I had ever seen in the world. And I was a little kid, just completely enthralled by this. The visuals of it hadn't been seen, but I didn't have the context of cinema. I didn't know that these were new. This was new technology, and these were new. When the Star Destroyer first comes across the screen at the beginning, I mean, just that whole shot. People who were older in the theater probably were blown away by this, going, holy crap, this is amazing stuff. I've never seen it. But I was just a kid thinking, that's a spaceship. This is great. And it blew me away. And I was instantly attracted to the characters. I thought Han Solo was my idol. Like, I thought this guy was the coolest dude in the world. He was a space cowboy, basically. And that's kind of who I want. I want to be like that guy. I want to be him. And that ignited a whole love of Harrison Ford and all his movies after that. And whenever he was around, like, I'm a big Blade Runner fan as well. And he was in Blade Runner. I was maybe 12 when that came out, so I followed him through magazines and all the, there was no internet, obviously, but yeah, seeing it in the theater was big. And I begged everyone to bring me again, because, again, there was no rewatching it on TV or anything. Like, if you wanted to see Star Wars, you had to have somebody bring you. If you're a kid, you had to have somebody bring you. So it was like, take me to see Star Wars. What do you want to do today? Take me to see Star Wars. It just anybody I could find. I didn't care who it was. There were neighbors that were going. I would go with them. Whoever. I saw this thing a gazillion times. And I don't know if anybody remembers this. I'm dating myself, but back in the day, movies didn't used to be out like they are today. They weren't out for like 3 months and then gone. Like, Star Wars was in theaters for like a long time. It made a whole ton of money. And then they would re-release it like before The Empire Strikes Back. They put it back out again, and you could see it again. These are the only ways you could see them. You had to rely on your memory to know what happened in the movies, right? Maybe the book, but the book was different. So anyway, seeing it was one of the life-changing experiences for me. I know it's dramatic, but that was really a big deal. My parents were getting divorced like right at that time as well. So this was like a big deal for me. It was like kind of an escape in a way.
Wow, man. That's love hearing these stories. Love hearing these stories, especially for those of us who weren't. I'm sorry to say this, but I wasn't there in the 70s. I wasn't there for most of the 80s. I'm so sorry to date myself here.
It's not your fault.
But I will, I mean, my parents, my brothers, all 5 of us, we went to see the re-releases in '97 when the special editions came out. That was my first theatrical experience with Star Wars, because otherwise I was just watching them on these little brick things known as VHS tapes, and we popped this thing into a giant machine called a VCR. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
Yeah.
But I remember watching those, and then we saw them in the theater. My eyes were like wide open. It's like, oh my gosh, like this is the way to experience Star Wars, is on a big screen with 250, 300 people just going crazy. It's can't you see it's madness? I mean, it's just, this is madness, as C-3PO says in the opening scene of Star Wars.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I get it, man. Well, speaking of Han Solo, did you dress up as him for Halloween that year? Did you tell your parents or tell your family, like, I have to go as Han Solo, I have to go to school as Han Solo?
It wasn't. I'll tell you another little silly story, but when you're younger, you don't really have a lot of choice in some of these things. You could say, I want to be this, I want to be this, and your parents, if they say no, then it's no, right? Okay, whatever. So there wasn't really there might have been one of those cheese ball costumes you could wear that maybe there was a Han Solo one. I think there was. I didn't have it, but my mom decided that first year, that the first Halloween, that after it came out in May of 77, I think, and then it was like the Halloween after, it was Star Wars madness in the world. I mean, TVs everywhere you go, it was just Star Wars everywhere, right? Crazy. So she decided, well, I'm gonna make you a costume instead. And I was like, okay, because you're a kid, you don't know. You're like, okay, great. So she made this R2D2 costume. And the only thing I remember, I don't have any pictures of it. The only thing I remember is, she did kind of like a dome you could put on your head, and then like a square body that was like a box. It was like a big cardboard box, and put holes and had my arm sticking out of it, right? But the thing that always makes me laugh when I think back about it, the feet. She gave me 2 shoe boxes and taped them closed and put holes in the top. So I was walking around with like shoe boxes on my feet. So this was my R2D2. This was my first Star Wars costume, was R2D2 walking around. Then I had the basic like Vader plastic mask thing, And then one year, I remember I wanted to do Darth Vader again when I was a little bit, maybe around when Empire was out, and I had the front mask, plastic, with the elastic that goes around the back, cheap thing, and it wasn't enough for me. And for whatever reason, I had a New York Yankees baseball batting helmet, and I flipped it around, and I realized that if I turned it around, and the back would kind of flare out, and it would look like Vader's helmet, even though it was kind of bluish and the mask was black. I put them together, and it actually looked like the whole head of Darth Vader. It was kind of cool. So that's what we had to do back in the day. We didn't, they didn't have all this fancy cosplay,
Right. You had to pull MacGyver. Just
Yeah,
figure it out, put it all together, right? You
Figure it
don't know
out.
how to do. You don't know how to make this out of a stick of bubble gum, do you? Why? You have some? Yeah, I remember watching reruns of MacGyver. All right, I remember watching reruns of that with Richard Dean Anderson, the man. And Richard Dean. It's funny though, because Richard Dean Anderson goes from playing MacGyver in the, what was it, like the 80s, or early, midway through the 90s, I think it was. That show lasted a good while too. I think it was like 7 seasons, 7 seasons, 8. Yeah, 7, 8 seasons of MacGyver, I think it was. And then he goes on and does something completely different. It's called sci-fi. It's called Stargate.
Stargate, right?
I'm just like, dang, dude, like this guy can jump through different genres and have range as an actor. Well done, Richard Dean Anderson, man.
RDA.
RDA, yeah. I mean, by the way, I don't think he does too many conventions out there, but if he does, and I see him, the first thing I'm going to say to him is, listen, man, I got to be honest with you. I remember watching you as a little kid, watching these little reruns of a show you did. It was called MacGyver. And I got to say, that was some cool stuff back then, man.
Pretty neat concept. I like it.
I think it is. I think it is. I mean, it just fits. It was good for its time. It was good for what it was doing. Obviously, Richard Dean Anderson carrying that show did a fantastic job. So well done, RDA. We love you, brother. Hope to bump into you at a convention somewhere down the line here. And once again, this is And I Quote here on And I Quote channel with the guest of honor, Lou Tambone, musician, indie writer, and apparently president and CEO of Star Wars Fan Enterprises. Let us know if you have any questions for him.
What does that mean?
Well, it's just, I didn't know how massive of an SW fan you were. I'm giving you some credit, extra credit here is what I'm trying to do. I know this is a made up statement that I'm making, but we're pulling a Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're making this up as we go.
That's it. Love it.
Exactly. I'm going after that truck. How? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Right.
But don't forget to like and share this. And if you're joining us live from the replay, thank you for doing that. So what was it like starting up this website of yours with Star Wars news and things like that? What was that like, and what was it called?
Well, initially, so we're going back to like 95, I want to say, is when I started to look into HTML. Like it was a new thing. and the internet, was like a new thing. Nobody knew if it was going to take off or not, but it started with like government sites and BBS and all that sort of thing, and then it went into you could make a website if you got some hosting and an internet connection, internet service provider, an ISP. I'm going back into old timey talk here. I'm like twirl my mustache. Whoa. So my buddy Doug came over, and I knew he had been involved in hooking his computer up and all that. And he was a very techie guy, so he came over. I was like, how you do this? And he would come over with all these discs and things, and he hooked me up to the internet. And he said, and he made a site. He's a big roller coaster guy, so he made this little website about roller coasters. And I was like, oh, that's cool, and I was like, how do I do that? And he said, well, you gotta learn HTML. And I'm there I am, what's HTML? Oh, well, I mean, it's this. And I ended up just, I don't know, through books or learning or looking at it, whatever, I hand coded HTML. And I said, well, what am I going to make? And I said, I don't want to make a site like about me, right? So I made it. So I'll do a Star Wars site. That's something I like. So it was either going to be Star Wars and music was like too big. I couldn't like focus on one thing. So Star Wars is very specific. So I said, all right, I'll do that. There were only a handful of Star Wars sites out there at the time. Lucasfilm had no presence at all. So I hand coded the site. It was called T-Bone's. T-Bone is my nickname. So it was T-Bone's Star Wars universe. And created it, and it just had maybe like 5 or 6 different long pages. Because back in those days, you made like one page and you just kept putting stuff on it and scroll. Like, so I had a little menu, very basic stuff. But I had this little. This is gonna sound. I'm like really making myself sound old. Scanners back then were kind of like a hot item. So if you wanted to get a flatbed scanner, it was like $300-400, whatever it was. But you can get these little handheld scanners. And I took like old books, old Star Wars books that I had, like reference books with like behind the scenes pictures and cut scenes and things like that. And I would use this handheld scanner, and you basically just hold it like if you have a book and you have the scanner, you go like this, and you scan one strip, then you move it over and you scan the next strip, and then you keep going until you're done with the image. And then the software would put the image together for you, the strips. And most of the time it worked pretty well. Sometimes it'd be off by like a pixel, but it worked pretty well. So I would scan all these pictures, upload them to the website. Anything that was deleted scenes from the films, I was really obsessed with pictures and scenes of things that were not in the films, and how did they get into all these books? Like, oh my God, so I put all that together and write things about it. This is leading up to those special editions you were talking about in the theaters. There was a lot of ramp up to that, so I was like starting to cover like news, things about stuff, and it just developed from there. And then I when realized you can do domain names, I bought and this got me into a little bit of trouble, Star Wars, but with the Z on the end. So it's, warz.com. And this was before Lucasfilm was a thing, or StarWars.com was a thing. There was none of that yet. So I created that. And this was about the time, that was probably a little bit later. So 95, I started it. 96, it probably went live. 97, 98 is when I did the domain. And I guess they were starting to realize this internet thing is going to stick around. So they started to make some sites and things. And then I got some phone calls, like, hey, you can't have this domain name, it's copyright infringement and all this kind of thing. And we went back and forth a little bit about, well, I want to keep it. And then it was like, no, you can't. And then I had to do some research on copywriting, and it turns out that, I don't know if this is still the case, but back then phonetics do count. So if it sounds like StarWars.com, even though it has a Z on the end, that technically could, if you went to court, that technically could count as copyright infringement. So I was starting to feel the heat, like, okay, I got it. But the site was pretty popular, and I was like, I don't want to do this. So I basically told them, this is horrible. I basically told them, look, if you're going to take my domain name away, I want you to give me a letter that explains why. And I'm going to post that letter. And I'm going to explain to all the people who come here every day why you're doing this. And they were like, okay, well, we'll get back to you, blah, blah, blah. And they never did. So I got to keep it. It's still active today, and everything is still there. But I mean, it's a little dated right now. There's nothing really new on there, but it's archival. It's all still sitting there. But they never came back, and they never busted my balls about it after that. So there you go.
Wow. All right. Sticking it to the empire with the rebellion here. All right. So this, art imitates life. Life imitates art. So
Yeah. It was a different time back then too. I mean, now there's a multitudes of lawyers. I mean, they'll just later on. I mean, this is not the only time I got in trouble with these.
Oh,
guys.
right.
I got into way heat later. I mean, they would just come in and threaten to shut you down. Like, I'll just call your whatever and we'll just shut you down. Like, that was basically how that would go. Like, if you posted a spoiler or something that leaked from, like, say, the prequel set, which I did a lot of that, a picture or something, they would get irate, and that you'd start getting cease and desists and phone calls, and then they would go to whoever was hosting your web pages. They would just go to them and say, shut that site down. And that's so they always gave me a little bit of a heads up. They'd be like, look, if you don't remove this, we're going to shut you down. And I would have to then remove it and then put a little blurb there saying, look, they made me remove this. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, a lot of rebellions and empires going on back here.
I got stories for days, but that's the tip of it right there.
No, I understand, and I get it. Wow, what a venture that must have been. That was something else, folks, for sure. But when it comes to Star Wars novels, what are some of your favorites?
Well, I did start reading the expanded universe stuff in the beginning, because in the beginning, there were no prequels. It was just these books started coming out. Timothy Zahn, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, Last Command, and I thought those were fantastic. And those to me were like I think they were like the first major expanded universe stuff. There were a couple things back in the day, whatever, but like these were like these books set off a whole new thing, and they took the stories in other directions, because I don't know that they knew there were going to be more movies. And I guess they figured, well, we'll just start putting out books, like what the hell, right? And they sold so well, and they did so well, and I think that's what kind of put the bug in Lucas's ear, and the technology, advancing, that maybe we can make some more movies. But unfortunately, they had to ditch all the plots of the books, So those three for sure. And then there was something called Shadows of the Empire that came out around '96, and actually if you look at these bookshelves back here, one of these entire bookshelves is all dedicated to that Shadows of the Empire stuff. I just collected a lot of it and put it all in there. I thought it was a really good book because it tied in with the movies. It happens between Empire and Jedi. Like, it's kind of like this connecting tissue of those two films. And I thought it was well done. It's written by Steve Perry. And a lot of people complain about it. There's a couple of there, and to be fair, there are a couple of weird scenes in there. But I had done extensive interviews with all the people involved in it. And I can send out links to that interview if you want. It's on that's on my Star Wars site, on T-Bone Star Wars Universe.
Oh, cool.
If you look on there, it's probably still the first article. You can just find it. It's starwarswithaz.com/T-Bone. If anybody wants to go, just go. And you'll see that whole article with all the interviews. And it was actually published in a previous book I contributed to, but I took it out and just gave it its own life as an article because I felt like it was worth reading. And Steve Perry or whoever I was talking to, they a lot of the things that are a little bit weird in there were because it was a giant collaborative effort. So a lot of people had ideas of what they wanted in this thing, because it was going to be the movie without the movie. Like, that was kind of how they were marketing it. Like, it was everything but the movie. So they did toys, they did comics, they did everything, but no movie, right? So they wanted to, it was almost an experiment. Let's see if this works. And it did, and it did pretty much. And so there were some weird moments in there. And I believe, remembering the interviews, it was like, well, so-and-so wanted that in there, so I kind of had to write it, that kind of thing. So I like that one a lot. There were some Han Solo books I thought were fun. I actually like the stuff that came out before Heir to the Empire as well. There were Brian Daley's books, and there were like three Han Solo books that I had when I was younger as a kid, and then there were like Lando books, and then there were a couple little things back in the day. I did like those because I did read those when I was young. I thought they were fun, but none of them have any basis in canon, quote unquote.
Right, the whole Legends thing. And it's funny you mentioned that, because we got The Last Command right here.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, there's Last Commands here, and then below that, you can't see it, but in this box is the trilogy. But we do our best to decorate the bookshelf with different books, depending on what kind of shows we have planned for the week. So since we're talking a lot about sci-fi and Star Wars, has Star Wars Day coming up here real quick on May the 4th. Be with you, by the way. That's on Sunday of 2025. We have The Last Command, and then this is our good friend Adina Mignona. She's an indie author. She wrote a book called Lunar Logic. So if you're looking for hard sci-fi meets AI intrigue, you're going to want to check out our good friend Adina Mignona of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast on Spotify and Apple, Google, Pocket, wherever you find your podcast. That's what she wrote. That's one of the many books she's written in her time. So
Sure.
She's currently working on a sequel to that too. So check out Lunar Logic if you're a fan of that stuff, fellas.
Very cool.
She's very, very good to us. Very, very good to me. So with that, so we talked about some Star Wars. My favorite Star Wars novel is Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. That is a really solid standalone entry into the new canon that Disney/Lucasfilm has put out over the last several years. The other thing is Lost Stars, written by Claudia Gray, is a great standalone, but it's also a good entry point for anybody who wants to get into Star Wars novels. Nothing against Heir to the Empire, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But what was I saying?
I think I read that one, actually.
You did read Lost Stars?
What was the one that Chuck Wendig did before that? It was
oh shoot.
There was another one. I read that one.
Was it Inferno Squad?
No.
Shoot.
It was like right when Force Awakens was coming out. It was like around there. Anyway, I read that one and I was like, okay, that's cool. And there was a lot of debate about it. I remember there was something because there was like a gay character and everybody was flipping out, like whatever. I don't know. There was a guy, I don't know, gender fluid, whatever, and people were just losing their minds. And he was having to defend the book all the time on like Twitter and stuff. I read that one, and I think I read Lost Stars.
It's really good,
but I did read it.
It's really good.
Trying to get back into the reading of the Star Wars stuff at that point, and I had too much going on. I just didn't keep going.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah, Lost Stars is great. Master and Apprentice is good. Dark Disciple by Christy Golden is really good, which is the story of Asajj Ventress. It's a storyline that was supposed to be a part of the Clone Wars series, but they had to cut it out because the season got canceled at that time. So they took that storyline and put it into a book, and the book is, as a standalone, is solid stuff, my friend. So if you haven't read Dark Disciple by Christy Golden, check it out. Whenever you get a chance. Sorry, I had my little DJ moment there for a minute.
Yeah.
But definitely check that out for sure. Now, when it comes to sci-fi and all that jazz, because sci-fi is such a big genre. There's so many different things you can do with it. What inspired you to be is it? I'm assuming Star Wars had a huge influence on you becoming an indie writer. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to. I felt like I had a story in me, so I was going to start writing it. And but because it's sci-fi, yeah, I'd say it wasn't. I mean, a lot of things they do are inspired by Star Wars stuff. I mean, it's just literally, for books and stuff. I put out with my friend Rich Hanley, we put out a lot of pop culture anthologies. They're all on. If you look me up on Amazon, you'll see all the books we've done. And some of them I was involved with some Star Wars ones, but also like Planet of the Apes, and then the Joker. I did a book on the Joker. We did Battlestar Galactica. I have a Blade Runner book that I'm really proud of, and then there's like Hellblazer and some others. We did a whole bunch. They're fun books. I would hope folks could check them out. But then I was thinking, like, I don't really write a lot. And like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really read as much as I should have, and writing was like a chore. I don't know why. I just didn't like it. But later on, I started to realize like the power of words and writing and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, you know what? I came up with a little idea, and I was like, I think I can write around this, and wrote an outline, and then just took it from there. And I wanted it to be sci-fi because in sci-fi there are no rules. If you write something on Earth here and now, you're kind of bound to the physics of Earth and whatever is going on here on the planet, right? But if you write something supernatural or something in space or in another galaxy somewhere else, you can basically do whatever you want. And I think that it gives you a lot of freedom when you're writing.
Possibilities are endless, and then and once again, we are here with Lou Tambone on this episode of And I Quote. Do never forget to like and share. If you have any questions, let us know in those comments down below. And if you're joining us live on a replay, thank you for doing so. What are the rewards about being an indie writer from your standpoint? Is it the creative freedom?
Yeah. There's a freedom to it, and then there's you control everything. So I've worked with publishers before, but small publishers. So I don't have that experience of working with some huge publisher where I had some big experience there. And comparing it to what I do now, I don't know what would be better, but I know that you control everything with your own stuff. So, I'm going to hire somebody to do the layout of the book. I'm going to hire somebody to do the cover art, things like that. So you do that. It's not somebody else doing it. So I do like that. And Amazon KDP really makes it fairly easy to self-publish your own stuff and make a couple of bucks in the process. I don't do this stuff to get rich. It's not my job. I have an actual job, but doing things like this is very rewarding and hard. It's not easy it's not easy to write a book, really. It's to make it so that people would enjoy it, right? So it's a hard thing to do, but it is rewarding when you're done and you put it out, and there are people who buy it, a couple of reviews. It's really nice. And it makes you want to do it again.
It's very true. This is where the fun begins. What are some of the challenges about being an indie writer?
Well, again, you don't have that support, right? You don't have a publisher backing you. You don't have a budget. You don't have money. You're basically paying for everything yourself. So. Did you say the advantages or disadvantages now? I forgot what you asked.
Oh, I was asking what are some of the biggest challenges about being a writer?
Challenges. Okay. Yeah. It's those things. But also finding the time, when you're busy and you've got a lot of projects going on, a lot of things happening, you got to actually schedule time to sit down and write. And that can be difficult because sometimes you're not in the mood. You just don't feel like writing. You want to just go veg and play a video game or something. You don't want to sit and write. So I found that I had to, I shouldn't say this because I'm going to make myself sound like a horrible writer, which, whatever, anybody can judge that. But this took about 7 years for me to do because it was on and off. And during that process, a lot happened in my life. So there were times where I just stopped writing and just left it alone. I had a first draft that was maybe 60,000 words or something like that. And then it just sat. So by the time I got back to a couple of years later to look at it, I said, I got to finish this book. Okay. I had to do a second draft, but I didn't really remember all the stuff that had happened, stuff that I wrote. So I'm like, oh, now I got to read this thing. And you got to read it through again. And it's a long process, to do that. Now I've learned from that, I should take better notes and keep better outlines. So I do chapter notes and things like that now so that I can refer back and go, okay, this happened and that happened and that happened, without having to reread the whole thing if there's going to be a gap.
Understandably so. And if someone wants to dip their toes into the indie writing waters, what advice would you give that individual?
Don't be afraid. I actually did put out feelers for agents and things. There are these websites you can do where you submit, for people to, sign you up for agencies and things like that. So you can get promotion, you can get budgets and whatever. But almost all of them that came back and said, I'll tell you what, if I put out, I'll make up numbers. So if I put out 100 of these on these websites, like, here's what I'm doing, whatever, maybe 30 came back. And the 30 that came back were all like, sorry, we're not interested at the time or something like that. So I would say, don't be afraid to just go put it out yourself. Like, as long as you can do some promotion, there's social media, there's lots of things you can do. It basically comes down to money, I think. Like, if you've got enough money, you can pay for, ads, and you can buy ads and papers, and you can go to conventions, you can buy tables. And, I did one convention. It was a little expensive, but you buy a table, you put a banner in front, you put all your stuff out, but you have to basically pay for that. And then if you sell some stuff, you might get some of that back, but it's more about the promoting. So I don't know. I would say, don't be afraid to do it. Go learn Amazon KDP, put a book together, get it, make sure it's proofread, make sure it's edited well, make sure it looks nice, has a decent cover, and that's it. Just do it. I mean, it's like, I didn't think I could do it. Now I know I can do it. So
Pull a Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Or Arnold, just do it. Get to the chopper.
Shia LaBeouf, right?
Shia LaBeouf, yeah, just do it. Make your dreams come true. Exactly, yeah. Shia LaBeouf, my gosh, that video is still,
it's hilarious.
Yeah. That thing's got, what is it, like 70 million views or something like that. I don't know. If anyone has the numbers in front of their desk, let me know, because I'm curious to see how many hits that what do you call it, the Shia LaBeouf video, the inspirational Shia LaBeouf's video has. But diving into this, for someone who's not familiar with The Fringe, and you get trapped in an elevator with somebody, and you got less than 60 seconds to make an elevator pitch. What exactly is The Fringe?
It's a sci-fi. It's supposed to be a fun sci-fi adventure. It's basically a chase film. Like, person invents something horrible, does not want the world to know, not the world, the galaxy to know about it because they fear it may be used for evil, and decides, I will go away. Okay. And then meets people in the process. People try to help. Bad things happen, and I'm not going to spoil anything. Okay. But it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger, which I did on purpose. So. You want me?
Oh, so that means we're going to get a part 2. We're going to get a part 2.
Yeah, I felt there were a couple reasons. Number one, I think it's a typical formulaic literary device. Like, okay, you end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and it leaves people wanting more. Of course, no one. It's not like this thing is in the New York Times bestseller list, but the people who have read it have expressed to me like, "Oh man, you left me hanging." It's okay, just hang out. But I didn't know, but I felt that if I didn't do that, then I probably wouldn't write another one. Like I would, not that I wouldn't, it would take a long time before I sat down to do it. And if I leave it on a cliffhanger and a lot of people are saying, hey, we want to know what happens next, that will push me to do another one. If nobody said anything, I may just leave it alone. But people have expressed to me that, I'd like to know where it's going. So I am working on a second one. I haven't written yet, but I've done outlines. I got about half of the outline fleshed out, got some notes for the rest of it. And I have notes for a possible third one as well, but it may be a little while. It's a lot going on.
All right, understandably so. Is it going to be called The Fringe Episode 2, like in Star Wars? Are you going to put The Fringe Episode 2, Attack of the New Clone, or I mean,
No. This time it's personal. No, that's not going to be that one.
Yeah, no.
Fringe Electric Boogaloo. No, not going to be. No, I don't really have it. I usually I'll put the title together later. I think
of course. Yeah.
When I got more of an idea, yeah.
No need to rush.
Yeah.
But look forward to finding out what's going to happen with the next part of this ongoing series, which is ends on a cliffhanger. Good Lord. I mean, it's funny. I mean, the first story I ever wrote ends on a cliffhanger, so I kind of backed myself into a corner. I thought, gosh darn it, I thought this was going to be a one and done. No.
Nope.
But it's.
I mean, there's some resolution to a couple of little things, but there really is. It's more. There's more questions than answers. I think, well, what happened to this person and where. But I added a little epilogue at the end that sort of gives you an idea of where it's going to go. Like just a teeny bit. It's just like a teasy kind of thing. So
understandably so. Well, congratulations on that. And by the way, that cover looks phenomenal. And that's done by the best Jeffrey Hayes of Plastifier Graphics. That guy, I mean,
he's amazing.
There's nothing he can't do, because anything he puts out, whether it's a cover, a promotional material, because he does, marketing materials and all that other kind of jazz. As we blow up the screen here for Lou to show off that ridiculously good-looking book of his again, I got to say, every time he puts out something, I want to hang it on my wall. You see what I'm saying? Whether it's this cover right here, I think The Fringe looks really, really good. This is a sci-fi, even though it's for a book, right? This could be a sci-fi movie that I would see in theaters tomorrow.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to see something like a Netflix thing. That would be great. But, I think we're a long way from that.
But it looks really good, though.
The little details, like this little dude here by the eye, like that was his idea,
That was his idea.
So she's a clone, and she's got an electronic brain and stuff like that. And he said, well, how about I put this little thing here? And I was like, yeah, dude, let's go. I mean, I gave him some ideas, like for this lady here. I said, okay, I want her to look this way and whatever. And like right out of the gate, it was like done, like perfect. And he got the likenesses pretty well. I like this guy here. That's a guy called Beacon Hayes. It's good stuff.
Kind of reminds me of the Shadow or a bounty hunter type thing.
He's basically a bounty hunter type of guy. And then there's like he actually asked if he could add these. This here doesn't really happen per se in the book, but he's like, can I just put some little guys down here? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And I really like this image. See this?
Yeah.
This is great.
with the jazz hands.
Yeah, this has to do. I'm sorry, I'm over here. This has to do with
There
the
it is.
plot of the film. Like you can
Yes.
see the fingers are sort of disappearing a little bit. So
Ooh,
that's kind of what's going on there.
that's cool.
He did a great job with all this. He put I wrote the blurb, but he put all of this
Beautiful.
together and in a book cover that all I had to do was upload it to Amazon, and it just
Gosh, that's awesome.
really well. This is the hardcover. This is the only
Yeah.
that I've got. Most of them are paperback, or there's ebook available as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're all on Amazon. You can totally look them up there.
Which is great, which is fantastic. Links are in the description where you can follow Lou Tambone and myself to check out all the wonderful things that we got going on here at the studio and with what Lou's got going on. But yeah, that cover looks. Jeffrey Hayes is the man, and we've had him on the show. He was one of the first guests we ever had way back when we started 5 years ago. And we talked to Xeroff about all this stuff, and I said to him, man, these are like posters I would put on all my walls, honestly. Whether it's the Fringe, whether it's Abraham Snow for Bobby Nash's book series, if you know who Bobby Nash is.
Bobby's the one who recommended him to me. I said,
yes,
hey, who do you got? And he goes, well, I use this Jeff Hayes, and I said, all right, let's go. And he just was so accepting and nice. Like he wasn't like, well, I'm busy, go away. Like he was like, come on, man, let's go. And he gets real excited. He gave me little he went above and beyond. Like he even gave me this logo for my Two Jokers publishing.
Oh, look at that.
Like he even did that for me. Like just for no extra charge. He's just like, hey, you know what? You need it for the book here. Don't worry about it. And you can use it whenever you want. He gave me little promo squares to put on Instagram with the book and the
that's awesome
e-reader and all that stuff. Like he just like went way beyond what I thought he would do. I thought he would just give me a cover and say thank you, bye. And we're working on another book right now, actually, which is unrelated. It's the next book is going to be it's called Shakespeare Adjacent. So it's a bunch of it's an anthology of people retelling Shakespeare stories in different genres and things like that. And that's going to be hopefully coming out by the end of the year. But I just emailed Jeff a few days ago and said, what do you got? And I gave him an idea, and then he's like, all right, that's a good start. Let me work on it. So I'm expecting something from him pretty soon, and emailed the layout person, and I'm going to do a Kickstarter for that one to try and recoup some of the costs. And then I'm going to maybe print up some rewards. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, stickers and junk like that. And then put those out. So look for Shakespeare Adjacent coming pretty soon.
Wow, man, that's incredible. And congratulations on all of that, by the way. The Fringe and the design of your publishing that Jeffrey Hayes did. I mean, the man is, in the words of pro wrestling, he is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Yeah. So we got to give Jeffrey Hayes some credit here.
Yep.
Props. Yeah. Jeffrey Hayes, we love you, man.
I should also mention the layout person. Her name is Amy Hale.
Oh yes.
And also recommended by Bobby as well. She did all of this, layout stuff, and even down to the details of. Let me just find a graphic for you here. So like I had told her, like, look, I want a little chapter graphic before each chapter, and she put this little swirly galaxy guy in there, and she did the font and all that. Like she did a really good job with the layout. So I definitely should mention Amy Hale as well.
There you go. Yeah. Well, it takes a village, folks. Teamwork makes the dream work in this business, absolutely, wholeheartedly. But fantastic. Congratulations. It's great stuff. I mean, honestly, anytime I hear Jeffrey Hayes, and by the way, I can easily tell when Jeffrey's done the cover because I've seen so many of his work over the years that I'm just kind of like, okay, clearly this was our good friend Jeffrey Hayes who did this, or clearly this was Plastifier Graphics is doing. Because they're so good. I mean, Abraham Snow, the Bobby Nash's Snow series is my favorite series going today. Nice. It's got Burn Notice vibes written all over it. It's it's also got Rougher Files written all over it. It's fantastic. Charles F. Milhouse has the Captain Hawkland series he's got going on from StormgatePress.com. If you're into that sort of stuff, so you're into like 30s, 40s pulp adventure, like Indiana Jones type stuff, you could check out him at StormgatePress.com. He's got a bunch of books coming out in the near future as well, and some other things as well. But yeah, when I hear all this stuff, Plastifier Graphics doing this, that, and the other, I mean, honestly, man, we got to give it to this.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on! Ah! Yes! Yes!
That's great. Yeah.
It's just, it's a great time to be alive when it comes to indie writers and indie publishing. But with the, oh goodness gracious. With that being said, books are great. All we gotta do is take a look. It's in a book. But I gotta ask you though,
Mm.
what?
Uh-oh.
How did this happen? Music, musician stuff. How did you become a musician? What inspired you to get into that? And we got Jersey Bound here. How did this all happen?
Well, no, I've been playing drums since I was a kid, like maybe 13 or so. And I was in bands maybe since I was like, I don't know, 17 or whatever. So it's always been there. It's just always a thing that's been there. It might have gone dormant for a couple of years here and there, but playing music is something that I would do. And it started with drums and it moved into, guitars and stuff. And then in the early 2000s, it branched into songwriting, kind of like similar to the book thing. It's like, yeah, maybe I read a couple of books and thought that was nice, but hey, you know what? Maybe I can try writing a book, right? So you do the same thing with songs. You hear a lot of music, you get inspired, and you go, maybe I can write a song. Let me see if I can do it. And it goes from there. And that's that album's actually like 10 years old now. That's crazy. I am going to be working on the new ones very, very soon. So I got a lot of new songs. So we're going to definitely do that. But how it came about was just that was a Kickstarter funded album. So that was cool. And I was able to just put it together and take some songs. I had already been playing them live with the band, for a while. And I said, I need to put an album out, I guess. And that was another thing similar to like the, but it's like, well, how do you do that? How do you put an album out, right? And just like Amazon KDP, CD Baby makes it pretty easy. It's going to cost you money, which is why I did the Kickstarter, and also to pay for the studio costs, which is not cheap. But you can give them all of your songs, and you do the artwork just like Jeff did for the book. I actually did that one myself, and put it all together. Took some pictures, put some graphics, titles and things like that, and uploaded it to CD Baby. And then they take it and they distribute it. They put it on Spotify and iTunes and all those, Apple Music, I guess now. It used to be iTunes. They put it on all those other places for you for a fee. So again, like, people shouldn't be afraid to go make an album, because it's pretty easy to get it out there. The trick is getting people to look at it or listen to it or read it or whatever it is that you're doing.
Understand. Well, music is the language of the soul, so I get it. What kind of music you like to play?
I think it's like standard rock music. It's you can pull different genres out of it once in a while, but it's basic. I would call it, I don't know, it leans more toward the classic rock era, like of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Well, speaking of classic rock, what are some of your favorite bands or songs from those eras?
I don't know, I'm a pretty big fan of like the Police, Genesis. I like Fleetwood Mac a lot, but I also like things that kind of branched into what you call indie-ish type of stuff in the 90s, like Juliana Hatfield and Paul Westerberg and things like that. So I'm big fans of that stuff. I like the Black Crowes a lot. I like what else? I don't know. I can't think of everybody right now, but some mainstream stuff, but also some other deeper stuff, which I think always makes people's heads spin. It's like, oh, you like this, but you also like that. Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. So I try to represent that in the music a little bit. If you listen to the record, it really does sort of go from like a little bit heavy rock stuff. I'm looking at the tracks over here. Sorry, heavy rock stuff to like very folky, ballady things that tell little stories. And then there's like, this one track in the middle that's like a bunch of synth stuff that sounds a little bit like Police and Rush put together. It's a very weird track. And when Spotify sends me a thing that they just sent it the other day, your most listened to track, it ends up being that one. I don't know how, but it's the one track that probably shouldn't be on that record. But I put so much time into it, recording it on my own, that I just, because I did everything on that song. Yeah, I don't know, very strange. And then there's like quiet, sort of introspective songs, and then and some fun stuff. Just it's something people might want to listen to and form an opinion on, and let me know.
Nothing wrong with that. Music is awesome sauce. Helps us concentrate when we're writing. Helps us, kind of, bit to take a breath, take a break from the grind, and just rock out and go crazy a little bit. I don't know. Um, all good things. Like we said before, music is a language of the soul, brother. What's one of your favorite concert experiences you've had? Whether it's a show that you specifically were playing in, or you went to a concert and you saw this band, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread."
Well, I wouldn't say it was any of mine were like that. I mean, you have a different perspective when you're up there doing it. It's like you're almost like you start and it's over and you almost don't even remember what happened, but you can tell when you're having a good show by the people, by the reactions you get, stuff like that. So I wouldn't put any of those in like the greatest concert experience of my life or whatever, but I have seen some good shows over the years. What will be the better ones? I mean, I saw good bands in their heyday. We're going back to like the 80s and stuff like that. So I saw like, In Excess when they were huge, which is great. I saw Heart when they were huge. I saw the Police when they did the reunion thing. I didn't see them originally, but the reunion shows were great. I saw, I've seen a lot of shows. So I'm trying to think back to U2 when they were doing like Joshua Tree and all that. Like these were like really solid shows. Saw Bryan Adams a bunch of times. I saw bands in little places in the city. Again, Paul Westerberg and things like that. But I will tell you, just more recently, like maybe 2 years ago, my daughter is a huge Taylor Swift fan. Happy birthday to her today, by the way, 21. And I'm not, huge. Right. I like a couple songs. I think they're okay. Very formulaic, but it's more about the lyrics and the experience. Right. So she wanted to go to that Eras tour, that last big thing she did. Almost impossible to get tickets to, just huge and tons of money for tickets. But my buddy Caesar, RIP, he ended up getting us tickets to this thing. And what an experience. Like I honestly, and I tell everybody this, and I don't know if they even believe it, but I've never seen anything like that happen in a concert. Like it was amazing. She owned every minute of this. She owned every eyeball in that place. And the whole place was shaking and moving. This was like Giant Stadium. The whole place was moving, like just ridiculous. People screaming the words. I've been to a lot of concerts. I've never seen anything like reactions like that. It was intense, and it made me appreciate her a lot more. And I do try to incorporate, like if I'm doing an acoustic set somewhere by myself, I'll try to incorporate some of her songs into it now, because I do legit like about 4 or 5 of them, as far as I know. So that was a big experience. That was, if anybody can do that, I would say just go do it, even if you don't like her. Just go see it. And get the experience out of it, and then come home and you might say, I don't like all the songs, but wow, that was intense.
There you go. Was it Taylor Swift? Shake it off, shake it off, and just shake it off, guys.
Yeah.
Just shake it off. Let it go.
Yeah.
It's one of the few Taylor Swift songs that I'm aware of. I know there's a bunch of them. I know she's been doing it for a while.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't let it go without saying this. I did see Prince many times, and I saw him. I'm a big Prince fan.
Purple Rain.
I didn't see that tour. It was the one after, but I saw him like almost, I'll say 4 or 5 tours, and after that as well. Like I've seen him a bunch of times, but there was a night he did an after show in New York City. So an after show, meaning this is like the late 80s, 88, I want to say. I was like 18. So you go to Madison Square Garden, Prince is playing, right? Yeah. And then there's like these whispers around the stadium that, he's going to be at Roseland after, which is a smaller place. It's not an arena or anything like that. It's like clubbish, right? So you go. So we bolted before the encore, me and the 3 or 4 friends I was with, and got to Roseland, and there was a line outside. And we got on the line, but we were right in the front. There was like maybe 4 or 5 people ahead of us, and we as soon as we were outside at midnight or whatever, like waiting. Eventually they opened the door. We just rushed to the stage. Now I actually got on the stage. Like the stage is right here and I'm on it, right? Like my hands are on it. And Prince comes out. So I'm standing underneath them, watching him play Purple Rain and stuff, and it's intense. It's amazing, and the band was fantastic. Sheila Eves on the drums. It was a whole thing, amazing. I think I almost got crushed to death, but what a incredible performer that guy was. He's high up on my list. So I probably should have mentioned that. I'm sorry. There's probably 10 other concerts I'm forgetting to mention too, but that was a really good experience. So he used to during some of those tours, like he would be in the city or wherever, and he would tell his manager, "Go find me a club to play after." So they would contact Roseland and go, "What do you got going on tonight?" "Oh, so and so is playing," and they go, "Cancel it because Prince is coming," and they would do it. It was just pretty amazing.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, I can't really I'm not the biggest fan of Purple Rain, but my experience with Prince as an art as far as a musician goes, I mean, he did the soundtrack for Batman '89.
Oh yeah, love it,
So
love it.
anytime I hear trust,
Yeah,
yes, or a party man, when Joker is decorating the
yep, yep,
museum with his crew, right?
love it.
Because as soon as you hear the magic words, Lou, because I'm assuming you've heard these words before, gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. Lawrence, and then just turn on the boombox, which he's carrying that's so big and it's blaring in his ears. It's like, all right, let's go. Party Man by Prince. Yeah, let's go. Let's redecorate this whole museum, right?
Yep, love it.
Yeah, that's my experience with Prince as a musician, is hearing him on the Batman soundtrack. And obviously, every time I watch Batman, you hear the songs because they're incorporated into the movie.
Mhm.
It was a huge deal for its time, huge deal for Warner Brothers at the time. So I mean, the museum scene. I mean, whether it's whether it's the party, the parade, the 200-year anniversary parade in Gotham City,
Mhm.
dumping all that fake cash. And, because for the longest time I thought he was actually dumping real money, but it was actually fake cash with the Joker's face on it.
Yeah.
You hear about that?
Yeah.
Because he told Vicky, because Vicky looks at him and says, "What do you want?" "My face on the $1 bill."
Yeah.
"You must be joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" And Vicky's like, "Well," and I'm just like, "Vicky, the guy's got a huge grin on his face. You really think he's joking at this point?" Like, I mean, it's just, but I will say this. Full disclosure, when that glass breaks and he jumps through, rescues Vicky, pulls out his, the wonderful toy that Joker talks about a minute later,
Mhm.
that was a fist pump moment for me as a movie fan. Like that moment just,
Yeah.
I've been a Batman fan for years, but that movie and the animated series that came after it on Fox Kids back in the day, mind you,
Mhm.
is what made me the Batman fan that I am today. Hence the reason, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see this in our background or not, but I am wearing a DC Trinity shirt here with Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Superman's my number one favorite character of all time, Lou, full disclosure.
Cool.
But Batman's like right here, like right below that. I mean, world's finest, basically.
Mhm.
DC Trinity abounds. It's great. I mean, I like DC and Marvel. I like them both, fans. You can like both, okay? There's no reason why you have to pick one over the other. I like both because I grew up on both properties for different sets of reasons.
Mhm.
But if someone were to force me to choose, hypothetically, just hypothetically, Lou, I would choose DC because my homeboy Super Loop is my number one. So
I'm the same way. I'm a DC guy.
oh, you are a DC guy. All right. So yeah, that means Lou and I are going to be friends after the show is done.
Sure.
Not that we weren't already, which is cool. It's fine. Favorite DC movie? What is it?
I like the Batman movie you're talking about.
We're going back to the OG of '89. Is that what you mean?
When that came out, I mean, I saw it in the theaters a bunch of times, and my buddy worked in the theater too, so we got to kind of get in there times. Yeah, I mean, it's so fun. Like it has that blend of new movie thing, but comic. Like it's still, like you said, that moment comes in the glass, grabs her, shoots the thing. That's like straight out of a comic. I mean, that's fantastic, right? So I really do enjoy those movies. I don't hate on any of the other ones that were out with Snyder or any of those things. I actually liked the extended, the black and white. Was it the Justice League one?
Sure. Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yeah,
the really longer one, like the more
4-hour cut.
Right. And I watched it. I think it might have been either during the pandemic or after, like a little after. I can't remember exactly when it came out, but I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. So I'm not one of those haters.
Well, just to give everyone an idea, some of the things we do here at Anti-Quote Channel, we do these movie anniversary watch-alongs on Fridays, second, third, and fourth Fridays of every month, and we will be doing later this year a 20th anniversary watch-along for Batman Begins, turns 20, which is insane.
Wow.
And then later on that same month, Lou, we're going to be doing a 30th anniversary watch-along for Batman Forever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, we lost that Batman, Val Kilmer, somewhat recently. R.I.P. to Val Kilmer. I had the pleasure of meeting that man twice
Very nice.
in person, and I spoke to him and I said, "Listen, Val, just thank you for playing Batman because I remember watching Batman Forever on VHS as a little kid so many times."
Mhm.
And it's one of my favorite Batman. Even to this day, does it have flaws? Yes. No movie's perfect. I mean, Batman '89 is kind of perfect in my eyes, but Batman Forever may have a few issues, but it's still, hey, at least it's not Batman and Robin. So
Right.
I will
And
give it that. And Val Kilmer was good. I thought he played Bruce Wayne, Batman very well.
Yep,
I thought the introduction of Robin I thought was played out very well. I thought, kind of Alfred kind of taking him under his wing a little bit. Sorry, pun intended. Helped, if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we're going to be doing that later this year. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Get your notifications on. 20 years of Batman Begins, which is insane to think about. And then you got 30 years of Batman Forever around the corner. So stick around, Lou. You may want to tune in for those shows. Maybe we'll save you a seat at the table. We can talk some Batman history with you.
Absolutely.
If that's something you're interested in, I don't know. But we may have to save you a seat at the table, as one might say. So, gentlemen, that's how it is until Grissom resurfaces. I'm the acting president. And I say, starting with this anniversary festival, we run the city into the ground. Why don't we hear this from Grissom? Yeah, what's with that stupid grin? Life's been good to me.
It's good stuff.
We could talk about it all day, folks. But all right, we're really a simpatico here between Lou and I. We're Batman fans, DC fans. We could talk about this all day. Just out of curiosity, though, do you have a favorite DC graphic novel or comic book that you've come across in your life?
I don't really have a favorite one. I mean, I just get attracted to anything that has a Joker in it because I just think he's fascinating. And like I said, we put out Rich Hanley and I put out a Joker anthology. I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now. I can't remember how long ago it was.
The Man Who Laughs.
The Man Who Laughs. That is right. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. You should. I encourage people to check it out and read it. There's some historical stuff in there, and there's talk about the animated series and Mark Hamill, and there's just lots of fun stuff in there. Batman '89 shows up a lot, and I don't know. I think it's just a fun little book. So I get attracted to Joker stuff. So I don't know that I have a favorite, graphic novel or anything like that. I haven't read everything in history, so I don't. I mean, I know the basic beats, all the good stuff.
Sure.
But I just enjoy it for what it is, and I'm a fan of the '70s Joker. Well, also the TV, the '60s TV.
Cesar Romero, anybody?
He's like ultimate. And when I don't know, if this is kind of silly, and I don't have it with me right here, but when COVID hit, I had a mask with the Cesar Romero Joker on it, and it even has the little faded mustache.
Yep.
Like underneath the white. So, and I if I go out, I still bring it with me. That's like my. I have like 2 or 3 of them of the same one, and that was my whole COVID mask adventure. So every time I go out, there's this big grin and the little mustache, and a lot of fun. So,
oh, that's cool. That's really cool, man. Yeah, The Man Who Laughs. Heard about it. Seen copies of it pop up at conventions at Shore Leave, Farpoint. Some people from Crazy 8 or Bob Greenberger.
Yeah.
Has mentioned it a number of times. Bob Greenberger is a good friend of ours. We know him from Shore Leave and Farpoint. But he does a lot of stuff, man. That guy's always cranking out stuff.
Tons. And he was involved with all these guys back in the day. I mean, it's a funny story. Like when we were putting together the Battlestar Galactica book, me and this was back in like
was it the early 2000s or
no, it was like 2017, 18, somewhere in there.
2010s.
No, when was that? You know what? I can't remember the year of it. Maybe I got the date wrong. Anyway, we were working, and we worked with Bob and a bunch of other people too, and he wrote for a few of our books, but it was the Galactica one that I was, we're editing, so I'm editing these pieces, and it's Bob Greenberg, and I'm like, now I didn't know him at the time, personally, like this was the first time I'm seeing his stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I grabbed my Suicide Squad comic book and I flip out, and it's like, there it is, Robert Greenberger. And I'm like, so I wrote him on the side, and I'm like, this is you. I'm like, I love Suicide Squad, and thank you for writing these. This is so great. And I felt like almost like a fanboy for a second. I was like, oh my God. Now I'm editing his work, right? I'm like, well, this is weird, right? So, but we've been, good pals since then. And he's a really good guy, like Bob. Great guy. He helps us out all the time. And when we were putting that book out, because that was under the Crazy Eight mantle, that book there, and he was the one who we pitched it to. Actually, me and Rich, we sent it right to him and said, hey, we have this idea. What do you think? And I mean, sight unseen, he was like, "Yep, let me talk to the guys. Yep, no problem. Greenlit." Like he just took it. I was like, "All right, Bob, thanks."
Oh, that's even, whip bam pow. That's that's
Yeah.
awesome. There's a 60s reference for you. There's a 60s reference for you. Hello. Never mind. But even so, congratulations on that. It's fantastic. Yeah, Bob Greenberger has been on our show in the past. He's a great guy. He's done a lot of things. I've read his 100 Greatest Moments of Justice League book. I've read bits and pieces of the 100 Greatest Batman Moments book that he came out with. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out the Batman.
I don't have him, but I've
100 Greatest Moments hardcover. If you don't have a copy, as a DC fan, you should have this on your in your bookshelf. If you have any room back there, I don't think you have any room left on that
one or two of his books are back there.
They're sitting there. Okay,
they're not that one in particular, but there's another one. I think another Batman one.
Gotcha. I was gonna say, if you can make room for some of these, whether it's Robert Greenberger putting them out or Crazy Eight Press titles, because Crazy Eight Press has a lot of stuff going on, folks.
Oh yeah, the tons.
If you ever get a chance, look them up at crazy8press.com. I want to say is the website, so check them out. If you're looking for different genres, there's something for everybody. They have different writers writing stories within different genres. So if you're looking for sci-fi, they got something for that. You're looking for piracy, adventure type pulp stories. Check it out. There's Thrilling Adventure Yarns, which is an anthology series they've been doing for the last number of years. Yeah. So I think, in the words of Parks and Rec, treat yourself.
I love that show. Yeah.
See what exactly. You see what I did there? So there's a plethora. Jefe, do you even know what a plethora is? I mean, that's a reference to Three Amigos from back in the 80s. Anybody remember that movie with Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and who was the other? Martin Short. Thank you. I am Lucky Day. I'm Ned Needleheader. I'm Dusty Bottoms. And it was just like, Dusty Bottoms is your name? What is that? Get out of here. That's, by the way, I haven't seen that movie in a little while, so I think I need to sit down and rewatch that. Have you seen that movie now?
I watched it, I want to say 2 years ago or something like that. Like sometimes I get this bug and I'm like, I got to see that again. Because you see a movie 20 years ago, sometimes even if a comedy, like you just don't remember a lot of it. Reasons, I got to see that again, and then you watch it again. And I've been doing that with like a lot of. We were just talking yesterday about the Burbs and things like that. It's like, I got to watch that again. But I had just seen it a little while ago, so I regularly go back and watch old movies just to remember if I like them or not, or how good they were, and things like that.
That's fair. Makes a lot of sense. And movies are great, folks. If you ever get a chance, watch a few. You may learn a thing or two. Fun fact, starting next week, we got our new month of movie watch-alongs. So we're going to be kicking off with the 40-year anniversary of Back to the Future.
Oh.
Which is a big one, folks. And then the week after that, we're going to be celebrating its threequel, Back to the Future Part 3, turns 35, Lou.
Stop.
I know, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make us say any feel any younger. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're getting a little too young for this business. See what I did? I'm trying to twist the words.
Yeah.
But if you want to tune in, check us out. It's all there. Information's in the description. But without any further ado, I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much to Lou Tambone for being our guest on this week's episode of And I Quote. Lou, great to see you. Great to meet you. Congratulations on all your success.
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Wish you the best of luck with everything moving forward. And if you ever want to come back and talk some Star Wars, because good Lord, man, you got a Star Wars mug in front of your studio.
There it is.
With Grogu and Mando right there. See that, folks? Look at that. It's beautiful. And May the 4th be with you is this weekend. So
with you. Anytime. Give me a buzz. I'm around. I love doing this. So
awesome sauce. We're going to be sending you some messages. We'll have our people call your people. But if someone wants to know more about you, take a listen to the music, maybe read that book known as The Fringe. Because I know of a TV series that was on Fox.
It's called Fringe. Yeah.
Yeah, that was called Fringe, but this one specifically is called The Fringe. But if someone wants to know more about it, where can they follow you?
Well, I have a lucambone.com. That's kind of like the hub. And it's not always updated like every day or anything like that, but it's got all the links to everything. Also, I'm on basically every social media thing you could think of. So you just put my name into anything. And you'll find me.
Awesome sauce. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Links are in the description below, so be sure to check those out. Get a copy of The Fringe. It looks ridiculously good looking. They always tell us never judge a book by its cover, but we do it anyway because it's the cover that sells the flipping book. And if it's a Plasmafire Graphics put together cover, right? Yeah. That's gonna sell because Jeffrey is the man.
He is. No
And
doubt.
we've known him for years. You, me, and everyone else who's collaborated with him over the years. We've known him for years now. So Jeffrey, keep up the good work, man. You're killing it. I mean, honestly, in the words of the movie Apollo 13, failure is not an option because you never fail. You never fail, Jeffrey. Honestly, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I really have, but he never ceases to amaze me. He never ceases to amaze the person that he's collaborating with, such as Lou Tambone or Bobby Nash or Charles F. Millhouse, who he's collaborated with a number of times over the years, and some other people. I think he actually did the cover for Thrilling Adventure Yarns, the anthology with Crazy 8 Press, most recently.
Somewhere, I always back their Kickstarters. You know, I don't always get time to do everything they do, but like I always back the Kickstarters, and I get the book and I put them on my shelf. I go, all right, I'll read this later. You know, so I've got them. I got like, I don't know, like 10 of them.
Hey, more. You know what they say, right? The more, the merrier. Absolutely so. Well, thank you for being with us, Lou. I'm going to talk to you here again momentarily. So, in the words of Arnold, stick around. My name is Ryan, which I'm sorry, making too many people laugh in that background of that studio of his. But my name is Ryan Van Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media simply at And I Quote Channel. Links are in the description below where you can follow Lou and myself. We also have a lot of great things coming your way very, very soon. Once we reach 5,000, we're going to have a live stream that will include special giveaways that the person who is watching or listening to this right now is going to be eligible to win. We also have merch. We have a Redbubble store that includes shirts, hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs. Hey, Lou, if you're looking for another mug to add to your collection, I know it may not be Star Wars related, but we have some pop culture-y stuff in there. Check it out. It's all available. It's on sale. So, we got coffee mugs, stationery, we got throw pillows, bed sheets, maybe some towels, something like that. Maybe even a hat. Something like that. Maybe a hat. You can check all that out. Links are in my link tree in our social media bios to check out our merch. And it's all on sale. And as we spoke about earlier, Adina Mignona has Lunar Logic. It's hard sci-fi meets AI intrigue. Ooh. At adinamignona.com. You can also find it on amazon.com. You can find it there too. So definitely check that out. And we like promoting other writers, collaborators, all this great stuff. Hence the reason we got these books behind us on our bookshelf. Don't worry, you'll see another set of different kinds of books or different titles on the next show probably. So stay tuned. More is coming. So do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when our videos go up or they go live. Remember, life is better when supporting indie creators from all over the world. Take a look.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning. Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.